Hey everybody, so we're going to talk about something other than red pill dating advice on this channel very soon, I promise. In fact, I do want to do a video commenting on the new Marilyn Manson single, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. But I wanted to offer kind of a new perspective on dating, first dates in particular, that could counterbalance this kind of red pill attitude that goes around the internet and everything. And to do that, I wanted to use Zen Buddhism and the Tao Te Ching. So I'll get into that in a moment. But first, I wanted to say if you're just coming to this channel, or even if you're not, a great way to support the channel and help me. Mitzi just knocked my dowel on the floor for some reason. Anyway, but if you're just coming to this channel, or even if you're not, a great way to help me out and support this channel is to become a regular donor on my Patreon. So I've just relaunched patreon.com/JordanOwen42 with the intention of returning to professional YouTube blogging, this time just because I need to turn the corner on some financial difficulties I'm having and provide myself with a provide myself with a little bit more financial security. I already work two jobs, and two jobs I enjoy, so rather than having to get a third job or start a whole new line of work altogether to try to make more money, what I would like to do is try to start bringing you guys regular content that, Patreon content that I think you'll enjoy. And so to that end, and to that end, we have there's more people in this than just me. I have a lot of cool stuff in the works. I just launched a new project where users will be able to provide story prompts that I will then turn into stories, and be sharing different musical pieces that I have and that kind of thing. So a lot of cool stuff going on in that regard, and it would really help me out, really help me grow the channel. I don't plan on becoming a professional bread tuber, or it is professional, but full-time professional bread tuber. I would like to ideally get in about the $800 to $1,000 a month range. That's all I'm aiming for. I'm only going to do one video per month. So that's the goal, and there is going to be really cool stuff coming out. If everybody who sees this video put in $2, I'd be at my funding goal immediately. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about, there was a lot of talk in the last few videos about first dates, and because I had commented on what this video from Orion Taraban, who is a red pill relationship commentator and deeply frightening man, who had this rather bizarre idea about what a man is supposed to do on first dates. That a man is supposed to go into it and get the woman talking about herself and only answer what she says with open-ended questions that will spur her on to talk more, so that she leaves the date thinking a certain way about you and all of this stuff. And all of this goes into this thing where this kind of red pill mindset that I see as being very toxic and very unfulfilling, where you're not approaching you're not approaching a date with a woman as an opportunity to connect with another person and enjoy their company and see if there's a spark between the two of you. It's more like an opportunity for you to try to complete some sort of cryptically structured puzzle. Like you're trying, like it's an opportunity for you to hack some kind of deeply firewalled computer database or something like that. It's very bizarre to me. It's like it's very fake, it's very phony, and it just flies in the face of the enjoyable experience that dating should be. And I was thinking about this more because I saw one of these channels viewers might know what I'm talking about. It was a channel where there's a Wojak figure and a Chad figure, that those side profile drawings that we see in memes and everything, talking to each other, and the Chad is giving the Chad is giving Wojak different bits of dating advice and what to do on first dates and all this, and like how, you know, you have to have the date, and then the next time you see the woman and she speaks to you, you ignore her altogether so that she wonders what's going on, and all of this stuff. And in reality, ignoring the woman when she sees you the next time and comes up and says hello to you, ignoring her does not create a sense of mystery and intrigue in her mind. In reality, all it does is make her think, huh, he must be upset about something, and go on about her day. And she'll go off and find some other man that's willing to, or is interested in having a conversation with her or spending time with her, and not interested in being some weird, aloof jackass or something. Anyway, so one of the things that I've gotten asked through the years about from the various incarnations of what we now know as the red pill manosphere dating community and everything, when it was the pickup artist community, which PUA is still an aspect of that and everything. The one question I've always gotten asked is, well, what do you have that's better? What technique or what approach do you have that's better? And what you really don't understand is that thinking in terms of techniques, thinking in terms of approaches, of kind of gambits of action and motive and everything like that, all of that is completely missing the point of what you're there to do. All of that is completely falling apart, or completely dramatically missing what you're supposed to be getting out of a date, and what a date is supposed to be, and all of that. So I wanted to articulate this with a section of the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, and I like to think Buddhism and Zen Buddhism are great ways to kind of detach from a lot of the noise that we have going on in our heads. In Buddhism, they have a concept known as the monkey mind, and the monkey mind, aside from being what my cat Mitzi is motivated by 24 hours a day, the monkey mind is the part of your brain that is panicked and excited and out of control, racing thoughts, and grabbing for things, and constantly needing stimulation and needing to grab onto things, and all of that stuff. And it's something that if you stop and you think about it, we all kind of know exactly what that's referring to. And so what we need is radical action to unseat the hold of monkey mind, which is, aside from being the title of a King Crimson album, is also an important concept within Buddhism. So one of the first things to realize when monkey mind is taking over is to do when monkey mind is taking over is recognize it. Recognize that that's exactly what it is. And you can do that oftentimes by just saying monkey mind to yourself. Monkey mind. Seinfeld kind of lampoons the concept with serenity now, that kind of thing. And so and I know the whole thing in the Seinfeld episode is serenity now and sanity later. Don't take me to task on that. I don't want to have to make another video just explaining that to you. But anyway, but the whole thing, the idea of pushing the stop button in your brain, Eckhart Tolle, the kind of New Age writer who wrote The Power of Now, has similar ideas there too. It's all very much that same idea. In Christian terminology, I found it very helpful to say, "Get thee behind me, Satan." It's literally the same thing. It's the errant, wild possession of your mind that you need to get under control. And the reason I bring this up is because all of this stuff, all of this red pill dating content that people absorb trying, or men absorb trying to figure out what they ought to do on first dates and how to do it correctly. Don't get me wrong, there's pieces of advice that are certainly worthwhile and valid. It's certainly worthwhile to, wear decent clothing and know what that means. It's certainly valid to keep your hygiene well in hand and know what that means. It's certainly valid advice to, have an ongoing back and forth conversation. Don't just babble about yourself constantly. There's reasonable things that we can do to make ourselves more pleasant people, but then it crosses over into this realm of trying to go into the situation with the mental the mental processes of one of those characters from a spy movie that has just rappelled in from the ceiling and is now hanging upside down trying to unbolt the locking mechanism while dodging laser beam alarm triggers and everything like that. That's when you're going into dating as something like that with all of that stuff in your head, like you're trying to count cards at blackjack or something. That is when monkey mind is taking over, and it's not only is it not going to get you what you want, but it's not even going to get you a good first date. So, what you need to do in dating on your first date with a person, what you need to do is go into it with solely the mindset of, I'm going to go have a pleasant time with this person, and that's it. I'm going to step back from it. And it might even, I really do think for some people, especially people that ruminate, people with obsessive thought patterns like myself, it's helpful to, work on some mindfulness to discharge all of the elation and all of the giddiness and excitement and delirium you feel if you think you've gone on a date and found the one. And you might think, well, why do I want to discharge all of those wonderful feelings? Well, because if it's a first date, you don't know if you found the one yet, even if it was a first date that resulted in sex. She may still decide she never wants to see you again, not on in a contemptuous way. She may just lose interest. I'll give you an example of that from my own life in a moment. But, you may find yourself in that position where you've done all of this mental masturbation and it's come to nothing. No pun intended. But what you're doing at that point is not helping you. It's just mental masturbation, and if it does peter out, then it's going to, all of that giddiness and excitement after the first date, if you think it went well, if it does peter out and she's not interested, then that's just going to make the come down that much harder when your limerence dies off. Or if she is excited, or if she does want a second date and you're going through all the giddy mental masturbation, all that's going to do is actually get your expectations too high for the next date. You want to go into the next date just looking forward to what happens next, and so on and so forth. And so where does Zen come in all of this? Well, I look at, and this, by the way, I should say, this translation uses he and she pronouns interchangeably. Some chapters have, some chapters have male pronouns, some have female pronouns. All of these concepts are universally applicable, though. That's just for variety's sake that they do that. But anyway, chapter 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore the master acts without doing anything, and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect, When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. And there's a comment on that passage in the back of the book. It says, acts without doing anything. Her actions are appropriate responses, thus they are effortless. She embodies compassion, yet she doesn't try to be compassionate. She doesn't struggle to make money, yet she enjoys spending it when it comes to her. She goes her own way, yet she accepts help gratefully and has no pride in walking alone. She is not elated by praise, not discouraged by neglect. She doesn't give even a moment's thought to right or wrong. She never has to make a decision. Decisions arise by themselves. She acts like an actress who loves her role. The Tao is writing the script. Teaches without saying anything. The way she buys oranges or ties her shoelaces is a teaching. Her face is more eloquent than any scripture could be. That is why it lasts forever, not in time and space, but in quality. Okay, that applies, that mindset is so beautifully applicable to what happens on a first date. What's involved in a first date if you stop and think about it. You know, all of this, if there is one thing I can say from my, 2 decades plus of dating and relationships, there's one thing I can say, that you can study and study and study and study all of this crap about what to do on first dates, what to do on any date, whether it's the pickup artist bullshit for men or the rules for women and all of that stuff, or any of these other ridiculous things that people have come up with. The reality is, when you click with somebody, when you connect with somebody, it is going to feel so utterly simple and effortless that you will not feel like you've done anything. You will connect with that person, and you will, and when you have that connection, that mutual attraction, it is effortless, because it's effortless for you, it's effortless for her, and it may not last forever. It may not last as long as you want it to, but in the time that it is there, that mutual connection is there, it will last. It will be effortless. It will feel utterly effortless. And your goal in going on a date is to see if that effortlessness arises. If it's the more difficult it is, the more you know that you don't need to be with this person. It's also worth, now, it's as an aside, it's also worth pointing out that nearly all of this the pickup artist dating bullshit crap is all based around experiences these guys had trying to pick up skanks in bars that are being approached by dozens of men and have their noses in the air and possibly even get off on rejecting men and things like that. It's a very, very small sample size that not only does not reflect the population of women as a whole, but does not even really reflect what those women might be like under different circumstances. And so it's always worth mentioning that. But anyway, your goal is to go and see if things flow naturally. You will, if there is that mutual, it's hard to describe if you've never been in it, but once you are there and once you are both operating off of the same intangible rhythm, which what we would refer to as the Tao, or what Buddhists would refer to as the Tao, you have that same intangible, you're both in that zone, that same intangible sort of default automatic functionality. When everything is flowing like that, you're not going to feel like you need to run routines on this person, or anything like that. And then so that's the first aspect of it. But then the next thing that's bunk is this idea, going back to Orion, Taraban, and things like that, this idea that you need to this idea that you need to like play some kind of long game and plant seeds for the future, things that are going to pay off for you down the line in how she thinks about you and all that. That's also not necessary. Your only goal is to go into this and have a pleasant experience. And I'm going to tell you an example of what I'm talking about that that worked out for me in this way. Is kind of an interesting lesson that I learned when I was a kid, and I was in my mid-20s when this happened. But one time I recall, back when you could still use dating apps to get dates and they weren't just glorified slot machines, I was on Plenty of Fish at the time, and I connected on Plenty of Fish with this one girl. She was, I believe, 27, as I recall. But anyway, we met in Midtown Atlanta near Piedmont Park. Just nothing too formal. We just met at the Subway restaurant and had a sandwich and hung out and talked and everything. And then I said, "You want to go for a walk in Piedmont Park?" And we did. And this night, it was a beautiful night in Piedmont Park. The homeless were keeping to themselves, fortunately. But anyway, without going into too much detail, this walk arm in arm in Piedmont Park turned intimate, and we started making out, and we had this wonderful makeout session that lasted probably close to 2 hours with just constant passionate kissing and everything like that. And she was just way into me. And as we walked back to her car, she was just hugging onto my arm. I'm 6'2". She was considerably shorter than me, almost down to almost like I think 5 foot. And so she was just had her was just holding onto my arm, and we were just walking together. It was such a wonderful thing, and such a positive feeling. It was this wonderful night, and just it went really well. And next day, I texted her next day, didn't hear anything. Sent a few more messages, didn't hear anything. Called her, and she answered, but she kind of was like, "Yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of busy right now." And I said, "All right, well, let me know if you want to do anything," and let it go at that. And I didn't hear back from her. And it's been over probably more than 15 years at this point since that happened, and I still haven't heard back from her, and I'm not holding out for her. I don't know if she even remembers that date. But the point I'm bringing up with that, I walked out of that experience, and as I thought about it, once I got confirmation, once I heard from her, she had, I could tell she had lost interest and everything. I, realized I needed to move on from that. And so I don't know what changed in her mind. I know I didn't carry myself badly at all. We had a great time and everything, but we had that nice evening, and I could have looked at it as some kind of failure because I thought I had this great connection with this beautiful woman, and we made out. We had this beautiful romantic moonlit makeout session in Piedmont Park, which if you've been to Piedmont Park, there's a lake in the middle and this really cool bridge going across it, and we sat on the bridge and made out, and it was just this beautiful picturesque experience and everything. And it was wonderful, and I could have tried to hold on to that in my life as like, I've got to grab on this, I've got to have more, I must have must have her and everything. And I could have been completely heartbroken and everything. I was mildly disappointed, but I realized it was interesting. As I think about it, it was so interesting because it was like, it went really well. I was excited that it went really well. I thought there was definitely going to be something here. And weirdly enough, because it went really well, I was more okay with the fact that there was never a second date. Like, it was like, oh, okay. So I feel more, I felt more comfortable letting go of it because it went well. And I realized that because the way I approached that situation, now, part of that was that we met online and this was the first time we're seeing each other. And so it was very easy, I think, it's not like we had, it's not like I'd known this person for months or weeks or years or something and we finally, get together and oh my God, it's finally happening. So maybe there was that part of it, that we didn't know each other that well at all, and we, it was easier to part after one night or something like that. But weirdly enough, because it went well, I was okay saying, letting go of it, letting go of needing more of it. I just, because the way I looked at it, it's like, well, I would like more of that, but I didn't even know that that experience, was going to happen. Like a week prior to that night, I didn't know that I was going to even have that date that night. Before, say, with 10 minutes before that makeout session happened, I didn't know that we were going to have that incredible makeout session. I kind of felt the energy building up after that, leading up to it after that point. But it's like, it was just this blessing, this moment in my life that was beautiful and wonderful. And because I was able to enjoy it for what it was and step back from it, I was able to go further in dating and relationships with a better, more positive, welcoming frame of mind. Because I was not setting it up like it needed to, like it had to, I had to play some kind of psychological mind game. All of that stuff none of it means anything. It's just mental masturbation for you. It's little mental exercises for you to do to keep yourself entertained and occupied while you wait for a woman you connect with to come along. And once you meet that woman that you actually connect with, you'll think you applied all of the red pill dating information perfectly and it finally paid off, when in reality all that really happened was you actually met someone you had a connection with. And so that's the reality of it. With dating, yeah, just go into it as, I'm going to have this pleasant experience and see what happens, and let it go and step back from it. And that's it. That's it. And the thing I keep thinking about is, in all of this, there is absolutely no guarantee that any date you go on is going to be anything amazing, is ever going to work, is ever going to work out or result in anything. So rather just go into it as, let me see what is coming into my life, what the universe is bringing into my life at this point, rather than trying to think like I've got to run all this is what I as the man have to say to the woman, and all men and all women want to hear this, yada yada, all this stuff. You're going to see it in the comments sections on this video. You'll see people saying like, look man, what women are looking for, and that mindset, trying to listen to all of that kind of advice and put it together, gave me such tremendous frustration and aggravation and irritation, and it deprived me of the enjoyment, the actual enjoyment of what I wanted. And so that's what in Buddhist thinking, that's what non-attachment means. Good things come in and good things come into your life, good things go out of your life, you breathe in, you breathe out, and that's life. The monkey mind is going to tell you, grab onto these things, try to keep them, try to force them into constant being and everything. It's like, no, good things come into your life, good things go out. That night that I described was a wonderful thing, and I'm not going to go into graphic detail of everything that happened, but it was certainly thrilling and exciting and a great thing to do that I enjoyed, and I don't regret doing it. And so if you can go into it with that mindset, you can find yourself, that calm, present mindset that is not eaten up with the monkey mind. You can find yourself having some wonderful experiences from time to time. If you go into it with this this ridiculous mindset that it's like, okay, now I have to say this and this. I have to wait this amount of time before I do this. And the next time I see her, I have to make sure I say this, but not this, and all that stuff. You do all that shit, man, all of the Chad Wojak dialogue stuff I was talking about. You start doing all that shit, all that's going to happen is you're going to get more confused, more frustrated, and more aggravated, and you're not going to be able to enjoy the good things that come into your life, which are, you know, are going to come in. The good things will come and go in your life, no matter what you do. The choice you have is whether or not you're able to appreciate them to the fullest, which at its core involves understanding that they will come and go and being comfortable with that. So you might want to write in and say, you know, I'm sure we'll get some kind of dude bro type that wants to say, look, man, it was great listening to your gamma male philosophy about dating, but real alphas and real sigmas know that to get a woman, you have to get blah, 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 blah. Okay. To that, I want to say, I know the alpha male type as you describe it. And I have met plenty of these men who view themselves as alpha males. Now, don't get me wrong. There are men who are natural leaders, men and women, who are natural leaders and who command respect and command respect and have the charisma and the confidence and the skills necessary to command in different situations. That does exist. There are people who more naturally fall into that. But that's really not what's encapsulated in the alpha male mindset that the red pill manosphere types push. That whole thing, I've known plenty of men that are like that, and not one of them has ever been pleasant to be around, has ever been enjoyable to be around. And if they're not enjoyable to be around, they're not going to be enjoyable for me to emulate. So whatever whatever ego trip validation that you need or whatever, go seek it somewhere else. I'm going to focus on enjoying my life and enjoying my life in a stress-free, positive environment where my enjoyment and my happiness is derived from the experiences I have with other people and the connections I have with other people, not from some endlessly narcissistic need to show the whole world what a badass I am. And that's the big difference between me and one of these red pill dude bros is, you know, any relationship that I want to be in is going to be because of the personal connection I have with that person, not because I need to demonstrate to the world, you know, what a badass I am and that sort of thing. That's a fool's errand, and it's a fool's errand. And frankly, people who fixate on things like the people who fixate on showing the world what a badass they are, generally are the least interesting people, the least enjoyable people, the people who leave behind the least appealing of a legacy. Whatever values you might want to have, you might want to gain out of this life, being the person who needs to make sure everybody knows that he could knock them down and shake his dick in their faces if he wanted to. It does not allow you to get the spoils of the things you're going after. It just makes those things hollow and empty. So hopefully I've made some sense. Anyway, take care.